Thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Spinneret, I just want to kind of go back to the last 2 points just very quickly. Again, on my Alaska Salmon Research Task Force Act, if you can commit, as we're implementing that, to work with all the key stakeholders. NOAA obviously is going to play an important role on that critical piece of legislation. As I mentioned in my opening statement, it's just really focused on, hey, what exactly is happening with regard to some of these really important salmon runs, Kuskokwim, Yukon, Kenai, primarily the king salmon runs, and how do we address that? What's the research shortfalls, and how do we bring federal dollars to bear on addressing that? So can I just get your commitment to work with us on that? I know you already have given it to us, but I just want to finish up the last conversation.
Yeah, I do want to commit to that. And I would say that, as you well know, the applications of research to the seafood issues writ large in Alaska. I mean, we can talk about snow crab, we can talk about any number of different applications.
Right, it's not just salmon, you're correct. I mean, the crab, yeah, that's obviously another big one. And then another quick one, we were talking about workforce. You know, I've raised this with every NOAA administrator since I've been in the Senate. I do want a commitment. One thing that I've seen over the years, I think you're working on it now, but I just want you to stay focused on it, both you and Admiral Hahn. You know, what I've seen over decades was kind of this migration of NOAA staff, NOAA scientists who have Alaska-focused missions, right, to they kind of migrated to the lower 48. The Fairweather was an example of that. Washington State has the Alaska Fisheries Research Center in Washington State, right? You know, you wouldn't put the study of the Grand Canyon in Illinois. So I just want you to stay focused on when it's an Alaska-focused NOAA mission, the people of NOAA and the scientists, in my view, should be based in Alaska. Let me give you one example. Several years ago, I met with your marine debris director for the Alaska Marine Debris Program from NOAA. Great. Met with me in Anchorage, had a great meeting with him. I said, where are you based? Thinking he was going to say Juneau or, oh, I'm based in Seattle. What? You're the head of the Alaska Marine Debris Program for NOAA. Why the hell are you based in Seattle? So can you just commit to me to keep a focus on, if it's a NOAA mission primarily related to Alaska, those people should be in Alaska. Would you agree with that? And can you commit to me on that? Because I know I've raised it with every NOAA director. You'd be amazed at how many NOAA scientists and employees who have a NOAA Alaska focused mission who don't live in Alaska. I don't think any other state would tolerate that. And I know you're working on it, but I just want to raise it in this hearing because it has been a frustration of mine and my constituents.
Thank you, Senator. I would have been surprised if we didn't have this discussion in this hearing, so thank you for bringing it up.
I mean, come on, it's a legit issue, right?
And I also point out—
wouldn't want to have the NOAA Great Lakes expert in Florida.
You used a phrase in your opening statement about ensuring mission accomplishment, ensuring that we do what we need to do for our mission. That, to me, is of primary importance. And then the second issue is how, where, when we do that, with what workforce. Having said that, though, as you and I shared when I visited Alaska last summer, specifically in Nome, for example, where I had the opportunity to talk with folks who were relying on the Weather Service for their forecast, and we realized there was a staffing issue there. And in fact, one person shared with me that a problem that we're having in the Weather Service in Alaska is that people get trained up in the lower 48 and come up, and after some period of time decide they want to go back to the lower 48. And so the head of the Weather Service, Ken Graham, is taking a real strong forward-leaning approach on that, saying, well, why are we doing that? Why aren't we training in place, as it were? And so we now have a program we've started, and I look forward to briefing you on this. We're working with the community college structure, which fortunately is done through the University of Alaska structure, so it's kind of one-stop shopping, where we can train up, especially some of the Alaska Native tribal members, and get qualified meteorologists, forecasters in the weather forecast offices in Alaska. I think that's one step. We talked about the home porting, the fair weather, and the Ketchikan port. That's another step towards workforce. The third, I would say, it's small, but I think we're going to see significant consequences of this. Admiral Hahn indicated that we have worked very hard with NORTHCOM to place a NOAA 06 as a liaison with NORTHCOM. And my intent is that that be a particular focus on ALCOM. And I think between our regional coordinator in Alaska with a NOAA 06 in NORTHCOM, we'll start seeing a lot of other opportunities, especially with emphasis on all of the Arctic activities that we can expect to emerge soon. So hold this space available. I think you and I may have a different conversation here in a year or two about that aspect.
I serve on the Armed Services Committee, and if there's any issues with ALCOM on that 06 being placed at ALCOM, because NORTHCOM's in Colorado, but ALCOM's in Alaska. So if there's any issues, let me know, because I think that's a great idea, and I appreciate your innovative thinking on that.
Thank you.
And if I may add, Senator, I know this was an issue you discussed at the Coast Guard hearing last week with Admiral Fagan, and it's definitely an issue that I'm paying attention to. But with the completion of the Ketchikan facility, which is an exceptional opportunity for us, the Fairweather does have the largest complement of NOAA Corps officers and professional mariners on that ship. So one thing I'm concerned about—
And they're going to be home ported in Ketchikan.
Yes, sir. And one thing that I'm
It's great.
paying close attention to is just access to affordable housing, healthcare, dependent employment. That will influence decisions for people to base their dependents there. So that's one thing.
These are the issues that we're more than willing to work with you on. As you know, I had to pass legislation, a federal law, to make it so NOAA and the federal government could accept funding from the state of Alaska to help build the NOAA facility. That's how motivated we were to help. State of Alaska, our legislature appropriated dollars, and the feds said, we can't take your money. Okay, well, we passed a law to say, oh, now you can take our money. So we're more than willing to pull our fair share into those kind of issues, housing, other issues that make it more attractive. We know that, being in Alaska, there are some of these challenges on cost of living and things like that are a challenge, but we're more than willing to do our part. The state is, and I think we proved that on the NOAA
Thank you for
facility in Ketchikan.
Thank you.